Hey kids, we're finally getting to the drill. But before we do that, you know the drill. I got a dad joke for you. Well, I was going to tell you a joke about the drill, but I thought it was too boring. So anyway, let's get into it. Here's the drill that I would recommend for most homeowners because it's around $100 and it's served me well. I've had it for, I think, 1.5 years. And the battery, you know, the big part of the quality in a cordless drill is the battery. If you go too cheap, the battery won't hold a charge after a while and you'll be frustrated. Yeah, so I think you'll be happy with this drill. It has 2 speeds, a 1 and a 2 right here. The 1 is for speed and then the 2 is for torque. Don't worry about that too much. I just basically leave it on 1 for most jobs. If you're just drilling a hole in sheetrock or whatever, you can get by just leaving it on 1. I hardly ever take it off of 1. And then if we're gonna add a bit to it, you have to keep turning that. Did you see that? I kept turning this inside collar so that this thing would actually open. Let's just put it at like 11. So now I'm gonna hold it. I'm just holding that lightly and see how the jaws are opening. Okay, and again, it's a variable speed too. So now I'm just gonna put that in there and then I'm gonna push this button, okay, the forward button, and then I'm just gonna hold this right here, right? The jaws are closing around it. See that? And then I just hold this. And if I put this on a lower one, it's really easy to hold this. The further I go up though, it gets harder and harder to hold that. If you go all the way up to the drill part, it's really hard. I don't think you can even, yeah, you can't actually hold it. So, and I'll show you what all those dials are for other things, but if you're trying to put a bit in, you're gonna wanna dial this down a little bit so that you can hold this. And then now I just put it on reverse and I'm holding it. Not quite enough. I need to dial it up just a little bit more. Yeah, so that I can actually get that thing to come apart, okay? I realized I should have showed you the battery too, so the battery pack is right here. All you do to change the battery is you just push down on this button here and slide it out, okay? And then this one here, it's been charging, so the light's actually red when the battery needs charging. Actually, let's go ahead and pop this out. I'll pop in this one. You'll see that the light actually flashes because it's being charged. This one was fully charged, that's why it had the red light. So then now all we do is we just take that and we stick it here and slide it right in. Well, I'm going to show you how to put in drill bits, kind of the same thing. That once you understand how add your different bits, it's fairly easy, and there's so many different attachments that you can put that you can use for different jobs. So you have wood drill bits and then you have metal drill bits. These are metal and then these are for wood. They're just designed a little bit different, so when you pick them out, so I put wood drill bits. I just ended up writing that right on the side. Basically the same thing again. This is a 1/4 inch. I'm gonna put it inside, let's see. So I wanna put it on a lower speed so I can hold this. And then all I do is I just stick it inside there and I just kind of hold on to it while it tightens it around it. And then I hold on to it and now it's in there. And then now if I wanna drill, for drilling, you put it on that drill setting, okay? And then you'd be good. If you needed more torque for some reason, where you're going through metal with a metal bit, then you put it on 2 and just kind of take it slow, okay? Slow through. Whenever you're going through metal, you want to take that slow, okay? So we got our piece of wood, my trusty piece of wood that I keep using. I'm going to show you how to put a screw in. This is just a Phillips head tip, like I showed you. And then this, I showed these screws before. I use these all the time. They're just sheetrock screws. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my bit back in, just kind of hold it like that. It's set on 15, so it might be a little hard to hold it, so, all right. And let me show you this. So this is one of the cool things about how it ratchets out. This is one of the things you'd use this setting for. If I ratchet this thing out, watch, let me just show you this. I'm gonna go to like a smaller setting. So I just messed with the setting a little bit. I'm gonna put it like at a 5. Once it starts trying to drive it, it'll ratchet out. See that? It's ratcheting out because you need to tighten this up in order to get it to go. So we're gonna go up to a 9. Ratchet it out still not quite strong enough. Let's go up to an 11. It's still not quite sunk, so we might need to, what I would normally do on this is I'd actually take it, come back a little bit, take it out and then drive it in. Still not quite flush. So let's go all the way up to 15. See, so that's pretty flush right there. Okay, I'm going to show you a different kind of screw. This, I've showed you this before when I built my bench. It's a coated screw and it's meant to go outside. You'll see this for decks and that sort of thing, but the nice thing about it being coated, they drive in a lot easier than those other sheetrock screws. And it comes with, see how it's got a star on it? It actually comes with the star bit. When you buy the box of these, it actually comes with a new bit every time. Let me just show you real quick. So you could stick that in here just by itself. That's one way to do it. And then you can stick it. You kind of just hold the top because the top doesn't have any threads on it. I'm setting number 12 right now. Let's see if it goes through. Not quite, pretty close. Okay, let's do it on 13. And so the nice thing about that setting is it keeps you from over syncing it. See, so it kind of ratchets out where you're at. You can actually use a bit holder like this. It's got a sleeve on it, okay? And then the nice thing about this is that if you were gonna put up a bunch of sheetrock, so sheetrock's 1/2 inch, and you'd probably wanna go into the stud about 1 inch, so you'd probably use like 1.5 inch screw. I don't have one on me, unfortunately. This one's about 3/4, I think. So watch this though, it's kind of cool. So it's got a sleeve that actually comes out on it. Okay, see that? It's got a sleeve that's actually coming out right there to help hold that screw, right? And then you just put that in. Sometimes you have to play with that a little bit to make sure it's seated in there good, okay? So we're gonna do that. So that guy's there, watch this now. So you just put that here. You got that sleeve holding it for me. Right, pretty cool. Kind of sunk down a little bit. I might want to adjust that. So you might play around with that. If you're doing sheetrock, you don't want it to sink through because then it'll go through the paper and then it's not really holding good. So that's another nice thing about that setting. You would adjust that, maybe play with that a little bit, right? I just put a different bit in there, right? I put a screwdriver bit, put that star back in. So that's another way to drive this too. I'm not going to go all the way in because I don't want to go into my table, but I am going to just kind of hold. See how I'm holding the part with no threads? It's helping it get started. I could slide this down too. It's not going to cover the whole drill. But the nice thing about this bit holder too, if you were gonna, you could do all kinds of these tips, right? And this, so you take this tip out, stick in. You know, if you're putting together something from IKEA, if you've ever done that, and it's an Allen wrench, and it's 6 hours later, you're still cranking on that Allen wrench. You can stick one of these in, you know, find the right Allen wrench that goes in here. You put it in your tip and you're in business, right? That'll be a lot quicker. That'll speed things up. So, and then this has Phillips head, and that's what all these are. They're just different variations of a Phillips head. A Phillips head is just the one with the plus, right? So those are just different thicknesses that'll work with different screws. And then these are just considered flatheads. And I always, when I pick a screw, I avoid flatheads at all possible. If you go to stick this guy in here and you put it here and you have a flathead that you're trying to pull out, this thing, you're fighting it all the time trying to get that out of there, okay? It'll slide off and everything. With that extra cross piece on a Phillips head, it stays in a lot better. Let me show you another trick too really quick. If I was just gonna use this tip, a mistake a lot of people make is this. When you're trying to unscrew the tendency is to want to, you put the drill in reverse and kind of help it out. But you actually want to push down and let the screw do the work. Okay, so you're pushing down to make sure that stays inside there and then just letting the drill do the work. Okay, so with your drill, you can get these different adapters that'll hold a socket. We're gonna go ahead and put that in. So I got my 1/2 inch socket. I'm just gonna put that on there, and then I can go ahead and probably even hold this hand tight for now. So I'm gonna put that on there. And so there's what's called deep sockets. This one isn't a deep socket, so it's probably not gonna quite make it, but it'll get me close. See, it can't quite get there. So now all I need to do is I'm just gonna go hold, let's see. hold this side, go from this side, and see how it ratcheted out, okay? Which is good, because everything's tight. You see that my lock washer is actually flat. It's down, so we're good. So now we go to remove it, kind of the same thing, pretty easy. You just put it in reverse, stick it on there, and then, oops, I need to tighten that up a little bit. Okay, and now it's just working its way out. Okay, you can see how that would speed up putting together furniture. Like, if you're ever putting together a dining table or anything, a lot of times you're using sockets or wrenches, and a drill will help a lot with that. So, okay, yeah, let's show you the lag bolt now too. Kind of the same thing. Got that lag screw. You know, technically it's a lag screw. A lot of people will call this a lag bolt, but it has a point on it, so it's actually a lag screw. And let's go ahead and put a washer on so it doesn't go in too far. I'm going to go here, just kind of hand tighten it to get it started. Okay, and then I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to drive it in. There you go. Yeah, it set it just where we wanted it. So I'm going to show you how to use some of these bits here. So let's start off with just a wood bit. Okay, a little wood drill bit. We're going to move that up to the actual drill part. Okay, nice and clean. I have a piece down below that I'm using just to protect things, right? Okay, so that's that one. So this is called a hole saw. I have this one too with less teeth, and I feel like this one does a better job, okay? I think those were a little cheap. So now here's a trick. So when you're drilling this, okay, you want, see how it's got a nice clean edge there? You want to flip it over and come from the other side. If I don't, I mean, there's two things that'll happen here. So if I don't care about this wood and I hold this tight and I go through, it'll be a clean edge on the other side. But if I don't hold it tight, it's going to tear that out. So you want to flip it over and come back from the other side. Okay, so that's that. You just kind of got to brush it off now, okay? But it would have tore out here if I wouldn't have done that. Okay, if I wouldn't have flipped it over like that, it would have tore out. Because sometimes it can be a bit of a fight to get that. The way I normally do is I just loosen this. Okay, and then you can just work that up and it'll come out. Okay, so this is what's called a speed bit. Kind of similar to the hole saw. I don't know that they come out quite as clean as the hole saw, but I'm just going to show you what those do. And I'm going to put that on. Okay, and then I drilled through. Here's another tip I wanted to show you. It's called a countersink. And the nice thing about it is when it goes in, it puts a little groove right there so that your screw head will kind of just sink down inside. See that? It's got a little hole for the head to sit in. This is kind of a luxury, but it's a L adapter that if you need to reach around a corner, and then now you can actually drill around the corner. So I thought I'd show you that. I only had this for one application. I just couldn't reach, and so I ended up getting it, and it was kind of cool to be able to reach around the corner and use that. So and I'm just going to show you what's cool about a ratchet set. Okay, and so here's a ratchet. Okay, and then I'm going to use I think that's a 1/2 inch, and then I'm just going to put it on here. And then so a ratchet works like this. See this lever here on the side? It makes it go forward or backwards. And remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. So right now it's ratcheting when I'm going left. So it's actually, this would be to loosen, okay? And then if I flip that lever, it goes just the opposite. Now I'm tightening, okay? So you want to make sure to flip that lever. There's a lever on most ratchets. This one has a little dial on the back, same thing. So now we're going to be tightening it, okay? And then I'm putting it on here, and I just go like this. I push it forward, I ratchet it back. Push it forward, ratchet it back. See, much easier than trying to spin a wrench around it. Now, if I want to loosen it, I just flip that lever back. I do just the opposite. So I put it back on there, and then I go backwards. Okay. Okay, so that's all there is to it. And here I'm going to show you a couple things about the Cobalt brand. So here's a normal ratchet, and that's a 3/8 inch ratchet is what that is, because that's the measurement of that knob that's sticking out there. And so sometimes you'll have to use, depending on what you're using, this one has a 3/8 inch hole in it, and you just put that in there, right? That works fine. But then when you get into the smaller sizes, they have a smaller hole, okay? And so that won't fit in there. So you have to use this adapter. Okay, so you put that on there, and then that fits in, and you're good to go. So that's kind of a standard type of ratchet. This Cobalt ratchet I thought was kind of cool because it actually has this design, okay? So it actually has 3 different sizes. It has that 3/8 inch size on the back, and then it has the 1/4 inch here, and then it has the 1/2 inch. So it's all built together. You have lots of different accessories in here too. So here's just an extender that just fits on the end of that. And if you needed to reach a little bit further, you had to get around something, that's all that is, just an extender. And then I got the extenders for the other 2, basically the same thing. So, and that fits on this side. And then you also have, with this particular set, it comes with a screwdriver adapter. So you can use it for smaller nuts and bolts, okay? And then another cool thing that actually came in this set too is it has an adapter, so you can actually use this as a screwdriver. So it has all these tips right here. So it has all these tips, and I could use it as a screwdriver too. We're just going to walk through these and start with the most basic one, which is just a basic pliers. It has 2 different adjustments here. So you just open it up and it gets a little wider. You just close it in, right? And then you can get smaller nuts with that too. Next, we have what's called a needle nose, because sometimes you need to get into tight spaces with this. It also usually comes with a little cutter here too, so you can cut wire with it too. So that's nice to have around. Next is the channel locks. That pliers that we showed you, it only got those 2 settings. This actually has multiple settings, and the nice thing about it is it has channels on it. All you do is just slip them into the channels, right there, and then there's another channel. You just bring it back, get a little bigger, right, and you just work your way down until you fit the size that you need for maybe the pipe or whatever you're trying to get a hold of. Lastly, we have what's called a vice grips. And when we were kids, we used this all the time for like loosening the nuts on our bike. But the problem is if you're not careful and you use it too much, you can round the nut or the bolt, and then if you go to use an actual wrench, it doesn't fit on it anymore because you've rounded it off, right? So just be careful with overusing it, but it is handy to have around, especially if you can't get a nut off, right? Maybe a little WD-40, and then you use this, and it's got a little screw on the back, right? So you tighten it, and those jaws get a little tighter, or you loosen it and get a little bigger. And you can use this, and you clamp it down, and as you tighten it as you go, okay? So then you got your bolt here, and you can go a little bit smaller than the bolt, and then you clamp it down, and it actually snaps on there, and it's held on, so you can loosen just about anything. Okay, so here's a close-up of what a bolt looks like, a bolt and a washer. And then you also use a locking washer. It's got a little spring. It's kind of set cockeyed like that. So that when you tighten it down, it creates tension, which keeps the bolt and nut tight, and they stay together, okay? And then this is a lag bolt. It's just basically the difference is it's got a pointy end because it's meant to work kind of like a screw, where some applications you're not going to be able to get that nut on it. You would drive this like if you're going to hang a basketball hoop or something on your garage, and you can't get a nut on the other side. You would drive this into the wood, okay? So here's how you would, a basic, real simple. I mean, there's other variations on this, but we would stick the bolt through with the washer, with a flathead washer, so that when you tighten this head doesn't get pulled down inside the wood. We put another flat washer on the other side, and then we put on that locking washer like I was talking about, and then now we put our nut on, Okay, and then you just can finger tighten it at first, get it down there, get it close. This happens to be a 1/2-inch wrench. It's got an open end and it's got a closed end, and I'll show you what that's for. You're gonna need something to hold that other side, and that's where pliers come in, okay? I tried to grab this here. It doesn't fit really well. So you open it up and then it fits really well. Because you're gonna need something to hold onto that other side. So let's get that on here. While I tighten this side. Okay, so that it'll hold that bolt while we're tightening that. And as you tighten it down, you can see that it's squished down that locking washer, right? Can you see that? It was open and now it's closed. And what that does is it creates tension so that this thing won't work loose, right? If that wasn't there and you were using this on maybe a wheelbarrow or something, over time, all that shaking from the wheelbarrow will get that thing to come loose if you don't have that locking washer. So that's what that's there for. See how this fits on here nice and clean? It fits on there clean, and because it works on those edges. And if you overuse the wrong tool and you're trying to reef on it to get it off, you can round, the thing will slip and then you round it off. And then I wanted to show you this too. So this is the lag bolt. So there's a thick center there, because if you tried to cram this through this wood, it'd be really hard, right? So what you want to do is you want to have a pilot hole that's a little bit smaller than that inside. And then now you can use this and drive it in, right? This is so much easier with a drill. But that, see how it's biting now. It's creating its own threads inside that wood. If you tried to do this without drilling a pilot hole, it would take forever, and then the wood starts splitting and stuff, so you don't want to do that, okay? This is a basic, Cobalt brand is good. I've had good luck with them. But this one came with 2 different kinds. It's got the SAE, which is basically the American. I think it stands for Society of Automotive Engineers. They had to standardize on how they were on the wrench sizes and that sort of thing. So they came up with this standard. And basically what it is, it just works 3/8, 7/16, 1/2 inch. It's basically just like your standard American ruler. The rest of the world's on metric. So that's all that is. It's got both sizes here too, right? You just, it's got an open end and a closed end. Open end you can just use real quick, but if you're having to do a lot, you can really, you can make a lot more progress putting that thing on and going around and around. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Tool Tuesday. God bless you.